All right, hello chemistry students. This is the chapter 3A homework, and this is key concept problem 3.28. If you look, it's actually also number 35, so if you go through the list. I know there's a lot in the 3A homework. Hopefully it's supposed to give you extra practice for the exam. So it's a complex way of seeing if you understand what the formulas mean. So it has two figures, figure A and figure B, and it's asking which one represents this NaOH and which one represents this CaOH2. So if you're not familiar, OH is the polyatomic ion, the hydroxide ion that you need to memorize. So that is your anion, okay? And if you look at the formula for NaOH, you see one cation, Na, sodium, and one anion, the hydroxide. It's a one-to-one relationship. Whereas when you're writing the formula, putting calcium with the hydroxide ion, using the crisscross method we talked about in lecture, there's going to be a little parentheses and subscript 2, meaning there's two hydroxides, two of the anions for every one calcium, because the calcium has a positive 2 charge, and the hydroxide you must memorize has a negative 1 charge. So in the figures, you're basically looking for one of them is going to have a 1-to-1 ratio of the color spheres, and one of them is going to have a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you look at figure A, we have how many red spheres? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red spheres, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue spheres. So that's the 1-to-1 ratio. So that is going to be the NaOH sodium hydroxide. So that's solution A. So your answer is going to be this first choice if that's the one that you're given. And B, just to confirm, is a 2-to-1 ratio. There's 6 red spheres and only 3 green spheres. Okay? So that should give you correct. That's all they're looking for. Do you understand what the formulas mean in terms of if you were to actually look at it as a spheres in solution or balls and stick format? Okay? Another question, I'm going to go to OneNote. Hopefully this will keep recording. Yes, so another question, it's number 26, but it was problem 3.20. Problem 3.20 on the homework. So it's this complex question, and they're basically saying you're combining aluminum, yep, and sulfate, and you're combining aluminum and acetate. So you're going to have two formulas in your answer that you separate with a comma. I'm not going to go to it and submit the answer. We're just going to work on these. Now, aluminum, you know, is just Al3+. You should have memorized that. The sulfate and acetate on the important tables. Sulfate is SO4 -2. I'm mousing over it. And acetate is this sort of more complex looking with carbons, hydrogens, oxygens, also -1. So they're both negative. One's -2, one's -1. So let's go back to OneNote. All right, and let's just start with the sulfate. You just must memorize that collection is -2. Using the crisscross method, I would get the formula Al2SO, and it would look like 43 if I didn't include my parentheses. So that would be the first one. The aluminum with the acetate, Al3+, and then your acetate is CH3CO2-. And you may see that sometimes written as just like C2H3O2-. You have sometimes you'll actually see where the H is 4. But it's not negative, okay? So you got to be clear what you're looking for. You just memorize that and you'll be fine, okay? So that 1 becomes the subscript and the 3 becomes the subscript for the acetate. So there's no 1 written. This is kind of an ugly formula. This whole thing in parentheses, and then there's a 3 outside. So you would just separate it in a comma when you submit that problem 3.20. So hopefully that will help with some of the Chapter 3A homework. You're probably thinking too hard if you're trying to answer it and you're like, what is going on? Just trying to write ionic formulas, okay? Thank you.